Now let's begin with a little music, a music selection offered by Cindy Whitlock and Barbara Gregory. Take it away, ladies. How nice to have some music from our sanctuary. Although our doors have been closed for most of the year, our work has continued. And in this segment, we want to illustrate some of the efforts of our enabling ministries, the staff and committees of volunteers who keep things running behind the scenes, who have been working tirelessly and who've made things such as this program and our Sunday worship possible. These ministries include communications, property, and staff relations.
Good evening. I'm Alicia Galini, moderator of the Communications Division. What gives me hope about Pioneer Presbyterian Church is the way we have tackled this pandemic. We were all hit with a major life change in March, and I'd like to show you briefly what the church has been up to in that time. As you can see, the first Zoom event we had at this church was March 15th. The session met, having found out that week that we were not going to be able to have worship as we had always been doing, that we were going to have to find a way to do it differently. That started a 6-week run of one session meeting per week, which many of us session members will be happy to forget about. But we came together and we worked hard to try to make sure our church did not lose touch. We quickly set up some practice sessions for the congregation. We had pretty good turnout. People showed up to try to learn how to use Zoom. That was March 18th and 19th. And then we attempted our first worship by Zoom, March 22nd. We had 82 in attendance. It was a glorious day, but it wasn't good enough. So March 23rd through the 28th, we did, Communications Division held Zoom sessions for individuals, trying to help people learn how to use this new tool, because we understood how challenging it was. We had just learned it ourselves. And then March 29th was our second worship service by Zoom, and we had 101 in attendance, which was another glorious day. We continued with individual sessions by Zoom, determined to get everyone who had a computer and internet onto the service. And by April 12th, our Easter attendance was 173. Again, another glorious day. Our average attendance on Zoom, April through October, has been over 105, which is wonderful. It's a wonderful experience. And Zoom worship is not all we've been working on. What else have we been doing during the pandemic? Well, we've had ministry team and committee meetings. This is all that I could think of that I could find on our calendar, and I'll show you the calendar in a minute. But this was a lot of participation. Some were slower than others to get on board, but all these groups are now meeting regularly by Zoom. But wait, there's more. We're also having Sister Circle, Primetime Circle, and Youth Group are meeting regularly by Zoom. We've been able to do special events like a Memorial Day service, Wednesday prayer group, elder installation, a wedding, Salt Shakers dinners, second Sunday concerts, Mission Project Kickoff, Mission Project Bible Study, and tonight, a Stewardship Campaign Kickoff. This is the month of October. This is our Zoom calendar. This is how Communications keeps track of all the Zoom events that are going on at the church. This is all of the events that are happening at the church that the Communications team is responsible for making happen with the church Zoom accounts. There are other events though. We have individuals who are doing their own events. They've learned to use either Zoom or BlueJean or Teams to make virtual events happen for their groups and organizations as well. So this is a pretty impressive show of all that's happening at the church right now, but it isn't exhaustive. There is a lot more going on. So I've shown you a lot that we're doing online, which is not the same as in person. And Communications will be thrilled when we are all able to come back safely to the church. But there have been some silver linings in all of this. Now able to attend worship are many of our homebound members, many of our immunocompromised members. People who are out of town are joining us. We've had people who moved away who are joining our services now, which is just wonderful to keep in touch with them in that way. We've had people agree to go on session who can't drive at night, who wouldn't go on session before. Now that they can attend a meeting from home, they can go on session or other committees. Again, people who are out of town don't have to miss a meeting if they don't want to. Some might not view that as a silver lining. So what is my hope for the future? What is Communications hoping for the future? We are hoping for a time when we can have a hybrid service, when it is safe to welcome everyone back to the sanctuary. We can have a service or a committee meeting or a special event that allows everyone who wants to be in person to come. And those who prefer to stay at home for whatever reason can also come online. We're calling that a hybrid event, service, meeting, event, where we have a mix of in-person and at home joining together. Because after all, that's what we want to do. We want to reach out to everyone. We want to include everyone. And the biggest silver lining in all of this is we have found another way to do that, to spread the message to everyone and to allow those who were not able to come to be a part of our family, a more involved and engaged part of our family. That gives me hope for the future. That is a wonderful gift that we have been given in the midst of all of this suffering. Please consider how important this church has been and how important it's going to be going forward when you choose to make your contribution. Thank you.
You may be surprised to know how busy it's been at Bon Air Church the past few months. In particular, the silent warriors of the property team have been in high demand. While we have been unable to be together in our beautiful church building, those silent warriors have ensured that when we are ready, our church will be there, standing true and ready for us. The last few months have been an adventure on many levels, and all that has been happening at the church impacts us all, and our property team has had an impact with their time and talent, and we all had an impact with our treasure. Looking at our future to come back together again, over 75 hours have been spent to deep clean all rooms in the church. The property team volunteers went through each room, and no surface has gone without proper disinfecting. And yes, even every chair in the sanctuary was steam cleaned, and finally, all carpets in the church were cleaned as well. In nourishing hope for the future, the property team's talents were tested during our time apart. We had a tree fall down, blocking our path to our outdoor amphitheater. Part of the tree collapsed on the playground fence. But not to worry, the team went to work and cut the tree, cleared the path, and relieved.
Let's try that again. Hang on.
And all that has been happening at the church impacts us all, and our property team has had an impact with their time and talent, and we all had an impact with our treasure. Looking at our future to come back together again, over 75 hours have been spent to deep clean all rooms in the church. The property team volunteers went through each room, and no surface has gone without proper disinfecting. And yes, even every chair in the sanctuary was steam cleaned, and finally, all carpets in the church were cleaned as well. In nourishing hope for the future, the property team's talents were tested during our time apart. We had a tree fall down, blocking our path to our outdoor amphitheater. Part of the tree collapsed on the playground fence. But not to worry, the team went to work and cut the tree, cleared the path, and relieved the tree from the playground fence, and yes, fixed the fence. We currently have a small roof leak that has been temporarily patched, and yes, our property team responded quickly and will keep that front and center until fixed. When we look at the many costs of maintaining our church building and grounds, the property team works diligently to be wise with our treasure provided, and when their time and talent can prevail, our silent warriors are truly nourishing hope. The past few months have seen our treasure being used to support normal operations like, yes, garbage removal, purchase of combination heating and air conditioning units, for Pastor Bill's office and Steve's office, a motor for the heating unit in Jennifer's office, and a heating unit for the sanctuary. Our treasure has also been spent to prepare for reopening our beloved church building. We have sanitizing stations that were purchased and recently used when some of us gathered for outdoor worship. All cleaning supplies purchased were used each time following the service, and all surfaces touched and all furniture used was cleaned before being put away. In true stewardship form, our time, talents, and treasures have seen us through, and this was just a sample of all the property team has been busy doing in silent warrior fashion to ensure our church building is ready when we are. Our teamwork means that worshiping together, sharing fellowship together, is all possible in our future. All the cleaning supplies, the equipment for climate control, the weekly garbage disposal, the supplies for return to worship, the roof patching as a sample of all that demonstrates the church building maintenance continues. The investment we make in our beautiful church is where the treasures we have, blessings from God, are wisely, passionately, joyfully given because we have unyielding faith in the future God has planned for us, and that helps us to continue nurturing our hope in that future. On behalf of the property team, thank you.
Hi, I'm Bill, interim pastor here since July.
And I'm Brenda, office administrator, and I've been here since 2008.
Brenda, I bet it has been an interesting time to be serving as Bon Air's administrative assistant.
It sure has.
Throughout the year, this year, you have been working consistently here at the church. You've been right at your desk. So what about that has been important to you?
To me, it's been important to be a consistent face, a welcoming face, and or voice, as the case may be, during both the pastor change and the pandemic.
I bet it's been important to the church, too. It must have been challenging to have me coming in as an interim in July and knowing next to nothing. Man, I really have had to depend on you.
Well, there's been some challenges, but it's been a real pleasure working with you, and I'm hopefully being as helpful as I can be.
You certainly are. I wonder, is there anything that you have learned about Bon Air Church during this time of pandemic and transition?
I've learned that we have a wonderful group of members who pull together during times of crisis or change, and that we really trust in the Lord.
Wow, good things to know, good
Yes.
things to have learned. What do you most hope that you're going to be able to offer Bon Air Church as we kind of move into 2021?
I hope to still be a warm, welcoming face to both members and to all of the new people who are going to come to our church because they've heard all these great things about Bon Air and they want to see if it's true, and it will be true.
Indeed it will, and you'll be right there at the front. Thank you.
Thank you.
As you can see, even though we have been closed, the work goes on for our building, the work goes on for staff, and the work goes on especially for communications. And thank you to the entire communications team for making this possible. Next, what we have is the part of this whole program that I think you're going to look back on and remember the most from this evening. We have a special presentation from our children's choir. Take it away, kids.
Good morning, Lord. It's a beautiful day. Good morning, Lord. I'm going your way.
You know, I love all of you who are attending tonight, but to me, the children are so special, and to be around them at church is what helps to keep me young. Thank you for that wonderful presentation. Our next segment addresses the work of the church that your gifts enable for our ministries to members. These are internal oriented. They are member focused ministries. They include worship and music, Christian education, youth programs, congregational care, and fellowship. Now listen to a few examples of the impacts that your gifts provide, the hope that they provide.
Hi, everyone. What a year this is. There are many things deeply frustrating about living through this pandemic. We've all experienced this, but as they say, it sure beats the alternative. However, there may also be exciting and interesting things about it if we strive to look. Surely you've come across unique occasions this year because of it. My mother in Connecticut got to see my Kate play a tennis match online. She'd never seen Kate play before. It's not that her school couldn't have streamed matches before, but they didn't need to before. With no live spectators allowed now, they do. What a blessing it was for Kate and her grandma. About 10 years ago, my best friend was sent by his company to India to start a new office and to train the people who would replace him. Not so pleasant a task. Out of a job, he decided to do what he'd always wanted to do since he was young, become a medical illustrator. Now that's what he does, and he loves it. Without being unexpectedly forced by circumstances beyond his control, he would never have changed his path in life for the better. Lodgepole pines, among other species of tree, have what are called serotinous cones, which are hard-shell cones glued shut with a strong natural resin. And this allows them to withstand great heat, after which the resin melts to release their seeds. That is, lodgepole pines love a good fire because it allows them to finally reproduce. I don't mean to ignore what tragedies this pandemic has brought us, but I do mean to say that it is especially important that we look for what unexpected good has come from it. Isn't that partly what hope is about? We've been forced into doing things differently, into being creative just to accomplish the ordinary. Can we use this opportunity to do what we've always wanted to do? Can we withstand this fire and plant our seeds now so that we grow something special from it? Can we hope that we can make it so? Our Christian education programs at Bon Air PC have been challenged, much like our school systems have. We're Zooming like everyone else, trying to meet the spiritual, intellectual, and emotional needs of our youth, adults, and children. It has given us the opportunity to try new things. This summer, for example, our youth group met every week for Wenzardi, which is short for Wednesday night Zoom party. We talked about our highs and lows for the week, watched a video here and there, and played crazy online games together. It was raucous fun. While we didn't have Montreat, we had never before enjoyed such engagement together throughout an entire summer. In CE, Connor, Linda, Martin, Marta, Darren, Sydney, Judy, and I have hope. We have hope that we can continue to find ways to engage our adults, youth, and children in our programs, and that we can find new and creative activities that enrich their lives and strengthen their relationships with God and with each other. As I shared with you last year, we have an amazing bunch of kids who are more interested in serving their community than in just hanging out and goofing off, which of course they do like a lot, happily. We have hope that we can provide opportunities in this environment for them to do so, including a possible mission trip next summer. We have a growing, vibrant, and rejuvenating set of young families joining our congregation. We have hope that we as a church body will invest in their development, in their future, in our future. Hope with us and be well in the love of Christ. Thank you.
I'm Beth Unruh, moderator of worship ministry. The stewardship theme this year is hope. When I think of hope, my brain immediately jumps to love and support. I am sure people who do not have love and support are still able to have hope, but I'm not sure how they manage it. My daughter Allison has had a close connection to the church for years. She began to explore the idea of ministry in high school. Through her study abroad in Ecuador, her young adult volunteer year, and her time at seminary, Bon Air has supported her. Many of you were in the sanctuary when she was ordained. Allison got married in August of last year. In March of this year, her husband Drew was diagnosed with stage 4 colorectal cancer. If you want to know what no hope feels like, Google the survival rate of stage 4 colorectal cancer. And if you want to know isolation, fight cancer during a pandemic. Allison and Drew have retreated into their house and only come out when absolutely necessary. They dare not do otherwise. I have not seen them in person this year. That would be hard under any circumstances, but to not be able to hug your child or offer any type of help when they are going through the worst time of their life is truly awful. But Bon Air reacted to the news over the prayer chain. I have received love and support that I didn't even realize I needed, and it gave me hope. I have shared that with Allison. I talk to her every night, and each time someone has sent them prayers or good wishes, I have passed that on to her, and it has given her hope. I can hear it in her voice. She always sends her thanks back, and I hope I have passed that on. Then Deborah Houghton sent out the request for cards and handprints over the prayer chain. A few days later, I got a text from Allison. Our mail was full of cards from BAPC folks today. Did someone tell them to cut out hand shapes? Because we got a lot of those too. It means the world. Allison frequently will text me when she's too overcome by emotion to call. But that is the business of Bon Air and all churches, I hope. Love and support that fosters hope. I recently heard the Most Reverend Michael Curry, presiding bishop of the Episcopalian Church, say that agape love is not a sentiment, it is a commitment. That truly spoke to me. Stewardship season is a time for commitment or recommitment. It is a time to pledge our time, energy, prayers, and money to Bon Air, so our ministry and mission, which includes providing love and support, gives hope. So during this stewardship season, I want you to know how much Allison, Drew, and myself have appreciated the love and support, and to want you to seriously consider the commitment you want to make to Bon Air and to providing those things to others. Thank you.
This is Nancy Peace, and I am on the worship division. The first thing that came to mind was if for some reason our church burned to the ground, that we would gather as always in the yard, the parking lots, wherever we happened to be that would hold all of us, and we would continue. And I didn't realize how prophetic that was. congregation as a whole has mastered the art of a pivot. As a family, we have done that in a huge way, fast. And really, it looks seamless, and I know it wasn't seamless, but we're making it look a lot easier than a lot of other places. I'm liking how we're still the same community we've always been. We're still supporting each other. We're still loving each other. We're still enjoying our differences and our similarities. And it's like, yeah, we're all in our own houses and we're worshiping remotely and we're doing virtual communion, but the family is the same. I am not concerned at all about whatever is coming, whatever it happens to be, because I know we as a family, as a church family, will continue to adjust. So that is like the biggest beacon of hope I can think of, is that you don't have to worry. We don't have to worry, because I know we can handle anything that comes at us. News to some people. I survived COVID. I was diagnosed in early June. I suffered, and that is exactly the term for it. I suffered COVID symptoms starting from early June 2nd, June 3rd to kind of like the present day. And the first 2 weeks were awful. And I still have some mild long haul symptoms, but the response from my church family, with all the prayers and the shawl I still have and I use often, the help, the letters were what got me through the difficult days and evenings. The medical experience was horrible, but the family experience was so much. I never realized how much everyone cared, how much our congregational division did, how many people would rally, the affection and love that came out. So that helped. And I can't talk about it now without getting upset, because there were some really dark nights and some scary nights in those 2 weeks. And I can honestly say, when you're alone and you're isolated and you only see the same few people at the same time, hearing outside voices, like reaching out, really helped. So that was basically what really got me through. So, and I could never express how thankful I was for all of that.
Wow. Thank you, Glenn, Beth, and Nancy, for sharing your very personal stories. Our third and final presentation looks outward from the church to the community, to the ministries the church offers from your generous support to serve external needs in a variety of ways. These ministries include the Church and Society team, who oversees our benevolent spending, and the preschool, and so many additional programs supporting RISC, Caritas, and the Bon Air Juvenile Correctional Center, to name a few. Listen to a few examples of how your gifts are translated to hope in the community and the world.
My name is Philip Powell. I'm the president of the Bainbridge Community Ministry Board for the pantry that is behind us here, located at the trailer. We're in Southside Richmond. We incorporated ourselves in 1968, so we've been here in the community for over 50 years. And our primary aim of being in the community has always been outreach to low-income families. We've done many types of advocacy for them, but now we've really focused on the food. When the pandemic hit, our food supplies, which are basically given 1 week's worth of food for each individual, we were doing about 250 people per month in January, February, and March. And in May through really the end of August, it jumped to almost 2,500 per month. And now it is in both September and October is down to about 500, but we've had to basically deal with the higher volumes. And the benefit is that our church has stepped up and have been donating more so that we haven't had to turn one person away. With Bonaire Presbyterian Church, you're one of our sponsors that has been very good at doing a number of things to support the process here. One is individuals have actually given money directly to the Bainbridge that we put in the account that we purchase food with. The church has also, from the general collections, given us donations during this time period that we use to purchase food and to pay the expenses of delivering that food to the people. And in addition to that, you've brought actual food. We picked up food supplies donated at the church and put them right on the shelves, and they've gone right out to the people in the community that needed it. Those are the real basis, and we could not survive without those types of support. At Bainbridge, when we look forward, our main measure of success is that the food supply to the people who truly need it never stops. Well, the last thing I like to do is really thank Bonaire Presbyterian Church, because you're one of a small group of churches that give us the ability to do our ministry. We are deeply grateful for your support. We literally would not be here without you. This is your work that's being done within the community, and we sincerely thank you for your support.
So I'm Jennifer Smouse, a member of our church as well as the director of the weekday preschool. I've been in this role for 6 years. Our preschool has been an outreach of the church for 65 plus years since we were at the White Church down on Buford Road. When we moved here 14 years ago, when I was looking for a pre-K program for Evan, when I came into the preschool, I couldn't believe that what I had always envisioned a school could be existed. And so I haven't left. I served on the board. I then became the director. Our preschool here at Bonaire Presbyterian is really unique in the area in its philosophy of play, in its love that's truly shown to the children and the families. Friday the 13th of March, we didn't know that was going to be our last day of school ever for the year. So once we figured that out, we started working with Session and our preschool board to secure a payroll protection loan for our staff so that we could honor their contracts for the rest of the school year. We don't know when we're going to return, maybe the first of the year. We are hopeful that we'll get to hear the little voices soon running through the hallway, having those exchanges with their peers and their friends and their teachers. Before COVID, we were really having a lot of our families participate in opportunities the church was providing for families. And that was exciting to see. Church has wonderfully helped by offering to put together our youth to do a cleanup for when we are ready to return to the preschool. We also truly appreciate the church providing us the space that we are able to operate in, with the beautiful windows that allow nature to come in, the wonderful playground space outside that's so park-like, that allows us to talk about God's wondrous world. And so I'm very grateful that the church continues to support this ministry, this outreach. I think it's a wonderful value to the community. Thank you to Bon Air Presbyterian Church for your support over all of these years to this outreach ministry of the preschool.
I'm Lauren Ramsor. I'm the co-pastor of the Voices of Jubilee. We started 2 years ago out of the mission and ministry of Bon Air Presbyterian Church. The Bon Air Juvenile Correctional Center, which is about a mile from here, asked us if we might start a gospel choir. That gospel choir grew into a larger ministry. We provide pastoral care and support for incarcerated youth, and also work with returning citizens and empowering them to serve as mentors for the youth. We also provide pastoral care for their families as they're going through this time of incarceration. So when the coronavirus first hit, actually the Bon Air Juvenile Correctional Center had a major outbreak, and it's had the largest outbreak in a juvenile correctional center in the country. There were 26 youth and multiple staff who were infected. The Bon Air Juvenile Correctional Center reached out to Voices of Jubilee and all of the volunteer organizations asking for masks. We were able to provide in about 10 days 500 masks to protect the community there. And Bon Air Presbyterian Church served as a collection site for those masks, and members also helped in making the masks. Church and Society provided funds for a pizza party for all of the youth to have pizza as a celebration when they were back in their units again and out of solitary confinement, and also helped provide money for supply kits that we sent. One of the things that, particularly in this time, that the youth have experienced is extreme isolation and loneliness. And we heard multiple times that when they have received the packages, when they have received letters, when they have received the support from us, it has given them hope when they were really at the bottom of their barrel. Our hope is that we'll be able to grow and expand our ministry to reach more of the youth, build more relationships, continue to grow relationships with returning citizens and support them as they are the best mentors for our youth. The community that we're building is one that has no financial resources to fund itself. And so in order for us to do this ministry, we reach out as a community to say this is something that we value. We value these youth. They are the youth in our community. Your support has made a tremendous difference. It's bringing hope and life to incarcerated youth, to their families, to returning citizens, and to all of us who have the opportunity of being involved in this gospel movement. So thank you. Thank you, Bon Air.
It's wonderful to see the impact that a church family can have in the community. That wonderful video was put together for us by Noah Piercy and Mindy Peters. Thank you very much, Noah and Mindy. A stewardship event would not be complete without some form of asking for money. That's why we're here. Actually, in the year of the pandemic, with the worship and so many church functions having moved to Zoom, and online giving being put in place, Stewardship is offering advanced technology this year for making your pledge. Take a look. That concludes the program portion of this Stewardship Hope event on Zoom. As you all know, we are living in an extraordinary time and will continue to do so into 2021. Our wish from the stewardship team is that the variety of testimonies offered tonight will serve as clear examples of the value of your support to the ministries of Bon Air Presbyterian Church and how your gifts are transformed into hope. We ask you to prayerfully consider the ways you will continue to support BAPC in 2021, both with your time and your money. Letters are already in the mail to you with pledge cards and information for our 2021 anticipated ministry needs. Take note that we invite you to make your pledge by Dedication Sunday, which will be November 8th. Thank you, and may you safely enjoy the rest of your week. You are welcome to remain online for a time of fellowship.